Welcome back to class. My name is Chris Richter and we're going to look at what makes up a song. In this class we will unpack the structure of a modern song and how a songwriter puts together a song, what makes a song tick, and out of this it will show you how you can become a better songwriter by understanding how everyone else is creating their songs. So we're going to keep this very simple and basic, but hopefully you'll learn a lot and discover a lot about all the different parts of a song that you may not have thought about. One thing we won't cover in this is the chord structure. So we'll look at that in a different class. Let's get started. To begin with, we need to look at the overall structure of a song. You may have listened to one of your favourite songs on the radio or even played guitar along with your favourite songs. You may have noticed there's a part of the song that you keep repeating over and over and over, and that part of the song is called the chorus. Then there's all these other parts of the song as well that you may not know the names of, but you will recognise as we go through them. So starting right at the beginning, a song has an introduction. An introduction is often only a short introduction. Some songs will have really long introductions, but for radio-ready songs, they tend to keep them quite short. Then we often have a verse, and a verse will be setting the scene for the story, telling people what this song is about. Then we go into the chorus, and the chorus is the part that everyone seems to know the words to and sings along with, mostly because it gets repeated throughout the song, and we keep going back to the chorus. Then there's a part called the bridge. Sometimes it's called a solo. Sometimes it can be called the middle 8 or middle 16, and I'll explain later what that means. So often we have this section in a song where suddenly it changes, it goes quieter, or the feel changes, or things are different, and that's just to make that song more interesting. And it also brings in some kind of dynamic that makes people sort of stop and listen and not get bored with the song. And then often the bridge will go back into a chorus. At the end of the song, we have what can be called the outro, or the coda is another term that's used for it, and that's where the song ends. Now remember, the parts that are repeated are often the music for a verse is usually the same, and for a chorus, the chorus gets repeated multiple times. So let's look at a typical modern song and the structure of how that song works using that terminology. For our first example, we will look at the introduction of a song. So the introduction is played, then we have verse 1, followed by chorus 1. That goes back to verse 2, and then chorus 2. You'll notice that the music usually for verse 1 and verse 2 is musically the same. So the chord structure used in verse 1 and verse 2 will be the same. The chord structure in the chorus will be all the same for the choruses, and usually that chord structure is different than the chord structure in the verses. After chorus 2, we go into verse 3, and then from verse 3 back to the chorus, repeat the chorus again, and then the outro or coda. And that's the very typical basic structure of a song. If we add in one extra part to that, which is the bridge, it might look like this: introduction, verse 1, a chorus, verse 2, a chorus, then the bridge, or sometimes, like I said, they call that the middle 8 or middle 16. What that means, middle 8 means it's 8 bars. So the bridge will carry along or play along for 8 bars, and we'll look at how bars work in a moment. Then we might go back to verse 3. Then we could have a chorus, another chorus. Often the chorus gets repeated twice towards the end of a song, and then an outro, or the ending, or the coda. Another slightly different variation on that is to have the introduction, the verse 1, chorus 1, verse 2, chorus 2, the bridge, and instead of going into verse 3, they might go back into the chorus instead. Then the chorus repeats, then we have an outro. And the final version, or final example, we could look at is an introduction, verse 1, then verse 2, followed by a chorus, verse 3, verse 4, chorus number 2, verse 5, verse 6, then a chorus again, and another chorus, and an outro. And I said that was the last one. We've got one more. This one is the introduction. The chorus. So instead of starting with a verse, some songs might start with a chorus. So introduction, chorus, verse 1, chorus, verse 2, and the chorus again, then a bridge, then verse 3, then a chorus, verse 4, chorus, chorus, and an outro. So in all of those examples, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 examples there, they are the most common, most typical structures of a song, of how the verses and the choruses all work together. Remember, musically, the music in the verses is often the same. The music in the choruses is the same for all of the choruses. The music in the bridge is often quite different. The introduction and the outro are usually made up of part of either the verse music or part of the chorus music, and I'll show you which part of that is often used. And the same with the outro. So intro and outro could be part of the verse or part of the chorus music, depending on how you want the song to sound and depending on the type of music or the way you've played the music or written the chords for the verses or for the choruses. Let's move on. We're now going to look at the song structure using bars. So a bar is the way that we measure music, or the distance or time in music. If we look at our sheet of music, you will see we have bar lines. In this case, a bar is the distance between here and here. So that's one bar. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars in each line. And typically contemporary music follows a fairly predictable pattern. Not always, but most of the time. So we're looking at this very generalistic here. So a chorus in a song will either have 8, 12, or 16 bars. That's very, very common. So when we write music, we can make it easier by dividing everything into 4 or 8 bars. A verse typically has 8, 12, or 16 bars in a verse. A bridge is very similar. Often it's 8. Sometimes it might be more than that again. An introduction to a song, generally, if it's a radio-ready song, will only be 4 bars. But it could be 8, 12, 16 as well, depending on how the songwriter wrote the song. So we're going to divide everything into 4, 8, 12, or 16 bars and look at how a typical song is created using that. So let's look up here. Let's imagine we have a song that has an introduction. And in our intro, we're going to use bars 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because that's a typical introduction, we're just going to remove these bars out the way for the moment. So let's just ditch those. That's our introduction. Our verse 1 we have here. Verse 1, we're going to use bars, or 8 bars, for a verse. And this is quite typical. So 1 to 8. Next, we have a chorus. So here is our chorus. And again, 8 bars for our chorus. Keeping everything nice and simple and very typical of a song. Verse 2, divide that into bars again. 1, there's our 8th bar. Back over here to our next chorus. So this is chorus number 2. So up here we had chorus number 1. And chorus number 2, and there's our 8 bars for chorus 2, our bridge. This is our bridge here. Again, 1 over to our 8 bars. Then we have our chorus number 3, so this will be our last chorus, and again 8 bars, and then the ending. We'll just call it end, but you can call it outro or whatever you like. We're going to end the song using the full 8 bars as well. Right down the bottom here, we will end up with the end of our song there. So you can see how the whole structure of a song is divided, quite simply, divided into 4, 8, 16, it can be up to 32 bars as well. That's how we structure a song. Now, if we were writing our chords over this, and this is a very generalistic example, let's say we have chord C for our chorus, And our chorus is a C for 4 bars, an F and a G chord. Typically, all the other verses would have very much the same chord structure. And that's very, very common in how music works. Our chorus, though, it might be something different. Our chorus might be F, G, C, F, G, and C again. So that might be our chorus pattern. So every chorus will have, typically, that same pattern again. So if you can see it repeated again. F, G, C, F, G, and C. And our last chorus, again, will be F, G, C, F, G, and C. We haven't done our intro or ending yet, but let's say that our intro was the first or last half of the chorus, was what the introduction was made up of, which is very common. We could use F, G, C, that'll be C again. And our ending can be the same. F, G, C, and C. And F, G, C, and C. So what you can see now is how we've used the same pattern, F, G, and C, all the way through. So the introduction is part of the chorus music. Our ending is basically the chorus again. Our verse is made up of C for 4 bars, F for 2, G for 2, and our next verse is identical. If we had a third verse, we would do the same again. The unusual part is our bridge. In our bridge, we could make it totally different. We could make it A minor, and this is where you get to be more creative. We might have A minor for 2 beats. Might go A minor, we might go to F for 2. It might go to C and leave it as that. So that's our bridge. So you can see how the bridge is quite different to the rest of the music. But structurally, we've created a fairly repetitive pattern. We've kept it to our 4 and 8 bars. 4 bars for the intro, 8 bars for each of the verses and the choruses. And you'll find that that structure is a standard way that a song is created. And that's how we create the song, based on on using bars and counting the number of bars. It will make musicians' life easier. It will make it easier for people that are singing along with your song as well. This is how you structure a song. The next topic we'll look at is dynamics. And dynamics are how the music changes during a song. So an example of dynamics is a song can be soft or loud in different parts of the song. You could have different instrumentation. So you could go from no drums to drums coming in if you've got a full band, or you could have no harmony or some harmony added by another singer at different times. You could have a different feel where the feel of the song changes. That could mean like a halftime, as in full time to halftime, which I'll explain that when we get to it. There's many different creative ways that you can go about changing the dynamics to make your song, 1, more interesting, but 2, to help the flow of the song work really well so that it's comfortable for people to listen to and has some energy and change that makes the song much more dynamic, which is why they're called dynamics. The first thing to look at is volume dynamics. You remember we had our piece of music with our introduction up here. That was our intro. We had a verse, we had a chorus, we had a verse, a bridge, another chorus. Or did we have another bridge and a chorus? No, we had a verse. We had a verse, a chorus, a verse, a chorus, then a bridge. Then another chorus, then the outro, end of the song. Dynamically, if we're looking at volume, and it varies a lot with different songs and writers and composers and how people create their music, but this is a very typical way that dynamics are created in a song. The introduction may start, fairly quiet, not real quiet, but fairly quiet, and just go along through the introduction fairly steadily. Then you get to the first verse and it just continues along nice and steady. As it gets towards the end of the verse, it might start to build up a little bit dynamically so that the volume or the instrumentation might change. Generally, when you get to the chorus is quite a bit higher in volume or instrumentation or dynamics, and that will take you right through to the chorus to the end, and then suddenly for the next verse, it drops down again and you're back down the bottom. It plays along for a while. For verse 2, starts to build up at the end. You get to the chorus, and this chorus generally will be more dynamic. It will, be louder, more instrumentation, and that will get us through to the end of the chorus. At the end of the chorus, it's like this sudden drop down to the bridge, and usually the bridge will be quieter. Now, it's not always, because sometimes the bridge will be quieter and then suddenly builds back up to the chorus, or it could be that reversed. So it could actually be the other way around, where the bridge is really loud and then it drops back. Depending on what happens in the bridge, whether you're going from a quieter to a loud bridge or a loud chorus to a quiet bridge, will decide on the last chorus. And often the last chorus will either start, if the bridge has dropped down, it will start quiet and build up like that to a really big chorus at the end to finish the song. Or it will just start loud and stay there all the way through, right to the end. And then the outro, generally the outro stays up fairly high, or the ending, the coda stays up fairly high to end the song. In some cases, that could actually be the opposite. It may drop it down to much quieter. That's the standard dynamics that people often use in their music. Let's look at this in terms of instrumentation with your music. It may be that you do have a band. It's a full band recording, or the song is arranged for a full band. In our introduction, we might have the introduction as just being, let's say it's guitar. So it's got a nice guitar introduction. Then we go into verse 1. And we'll have guitar plus vocals for verse 1. We get to the chorus, or the first chorus, and it might be still guitar plus vocals, plus we might put in let's put in a synth sound. So that might come in for the first chorus. We get to verse 2, and you'll hear this a lot in music. With verse 2 is where we still have the guitar, we have the vocals, the synth might have dropped out, but we've now got the drums come in with a nice, relaxed drum rhythm, something that isn't too dynamic, and we might put the bass in there as well. So we've sort of got the percussion part of the music came in. When we get to our second chorus, then we pretty much have everything. It's all in. After our chorus, we've gone back to our bridge. And in the bridge, a typical song, again, we get to the bridge and we might have just vocal, synth. So you can see the dynamics there is going to change dramatically. We've had everything in here, all three here with drums and percussion, and then suddenly we're dropping back to just the vocalist and a synthesizer sound or strings or something. We then go to our last chorus, and it's pretty much everyone in, and our outro will be pretty much everyone in as well. So dynamically, we've gone from just a single guitar instrument, just a guitar, to guitar and vocals, to guitar vocals with a synth just here. And then we've gone down to our guitar, vocals, drums, bass. So everything's sort of coming, but not too heavy. And then it's everything in. So the synth, backing vocals, and all sorts of things can come in here. Our bridge, again, dropped back quiet. Chorus, everyone in. Outro, everyone in again. So that's another way of approaching dynamics and looking at the dynamics of music rather than just looking at volume. We're looking at the instrumentation to add those dynamics as well. and obviously all the different sounds that you use for each of those instruments, the synth sounds or the type of guitar that you use, or if you have multiple guitars, all of that will add more dynamics and different sounds that will keep the music interesting all the way through. We're going to listen to a demo. You can see here the song has an introduction, a verse, a chorus, another verse. That says verse 1. We'll make that verse 2. Chorus, a middle 8, chorus 3, and an outro. Let's have a listen to the song from the top. So introduction, that's our first bar, second bar, third bar, fourth bar. So verse 1, second bar in verse 2, third bar, fourth bar. Music changed a little bit there, but it's still part of the verse. There we go, that's bar 8 for our verse. Now we're up to the chorus. If you're counting with me, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, bar 5, 2, 3, 4, bar 6, 2, 3, 4, bar 7, and bar 8. Then we're back to a verse. It says verse 1, but we'll make that verse 2. There we go. Bar 3 in the verse. Bar 4, here's our change in the verse. Same as the first verse. Musically the same. The last one, now we're back to a chorus again. Chorus number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how it's fitted into those 8 bars each time? It's the fourth bar for the chorus. Here we go again. Here we go, bar 7. 7, 2, 3, 4, bar 8. 2, 3. Now we're ready for the middle 8. This is where it changes. Hear the music change there. Bar 3, 2, 3, 4, bar 4. 3, 4. It is a middle 8. There's 8 bars. That's bar 5. Bar 6. Bar 7, 2, 3, 4, bar 8. 2, 3. Then we're back to the chorus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, bar 3, 2, 3, 4, and bar 4. Bar 5, bar 6, bar 7, bar 8, 2. Then we're ready for the outro. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice it dropped back dynamically. Got rid of the guitar, got rid of some of the other instruments, got rid of the vocal. And notice it's 4 bars. And we don't have to worry about those bits there. So you can see the similarity between the introduction, where we had 4 bars, and again we don't have to worry about those. Then our verse was the same, was for 8 bars. Our chorus was 8 bars. The verse music was the same as the other verse music. The chorus music was the same. Chorus music was the same. Chorus was the same again. And then we had that middle 8 part where it was a bit different. Then we finish off with the chorus and our 4 bars outro, which is very similar to the 4 bars introduction. So you can see how the structure of a song works. While listening to a song, you got to go through and just see where that structure all fits in together. Hopefully you've learnt quite a bit about the structure of songs in this short course. You'll be able to take that with you and use that for your own songwriting. I'll see you in the next class.
Too many decisions think about, expectations that I take. I'm thinking maybe this or maybe that or maybe not. Let's see. Too many things to think about, or is it just me? Making my own way, taking my own path. This is my own day. What do I need to ask? Making my own way, taking my own path. Decisions on my own. I'm making my own way. Too many decisions I've been asked to make. Too many things to think about, expectations that I take. I'm thinking maybe this or maybe that or maybe not. Let's see. Too many things to think about, or is it just